with an injury following Summerslam and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Mentioning a set of contentious moments that took place during SummerSlam weekend involving WWE stars, Ringside News noted that controversial ex-ROH owner Rob Feinstein was recently spotted taking photos with WWE talent, and this concerned fans. With regards to this, a clarification has now been provided. Earlier this week, Logan Paul faced backlash after Rob Feinstein was spotted taking photos with him. After all, Paul was already dealing with issues after his remarks about the Paris Olympics controversy, and this didn't help matters. Logan Paul wasn't the only WWE superstar who took photos with Feinstein either. In fact, Feinstein was also present in attendance during this week's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, and fans wonder how WWE could even allow such a thing. According to Fightful Select, WWE had no connection with Feinstein, did not extend an invitation to him, and he was neither backstage nor provided a comped ticket. Feinstein reportedly located the Talon Hotel independently and approached wrestlers for photos. Feinstein is essentially blacklisted from the wrestling world after he was implicated in a media sting operation aimed at uncovering alleged pedophiles in Philadelphia. Going over a match on the SummerSlam card that had its time cut, Ringside News wrote that WWE SummerSlam event took place at Cleveland Browns Stadium on August 3rd. Although we had the match time before the show started, one match was significantly cut for time. Many fans who read our spoiler times noticed that the Bron Breakker vs. Sami Zayn match was scheduled for 12 minutes. However, the match was much shorter. Cage Match noted that the match lasted 5 minutes and 42 seconds. Sean Ross Sapp reported on Fightful Select that Bron Breakker's Intercontinental title win against Sami Zayn ran much shorter than expected. Despite this, it was still a very effective win for the son of Rick Steiner. The Steiner brothers were present at SummerSlam, so Rick Steiner saw his son's big moment firsthand. This was special for him, and it also appears that any transphobic controversy surrounding the WWE Hall of Famer is now resolved with the company. Giving his perspective on the controversy surrounding MJF and Britt Baker, which led to Baker being suspended from the company previously. Former pro wrestling manager and booker Jim Cornette said this on his YouTube channel. That's the thing, they're bringing Britt Baker back for Wembley because it's a big match, so she's suspended for 2 weeks. But nobody said suspended without pay, so you get to stay home and make the same money as if you'd have gone. So what the hell? And she wrestles, what, 8 times a year to begin with? So the fine might be an issue, but I think the suspension, well, you can kind of look at it like, well, they fined me, but I get the next 2 weeks off to work on my tan. I'm just pulling numbers for even mathematics sake. Her weekly salary is $7,000 a week, and if she gets fined $10,000, then she's still making $4,000 for 2 weeks for doing nothing. So then who's really being penalized here? She's getting by on, she ain't that good a wrestler, she looks pretty good, and Tony Khan likes her, and she's been there a while. They don't make her go out and do stupid things over and over like they do everybody else. She goes away for long stretches where you don't get sick of her, and then she comes back. So she's in a pretty good position. If I were her, I would shut my pie hole. Again, this is Saved by the Bell, not only on television, but in the locker room behind the scenes. I've never seen anything like this in the wrestling promotions I have been in, where there were manipulations behind the scenes and ill feelings among top major players in the company. It was usually over important stuff and done fairly well. It wasn't like a bunch of kids just ranting at recess because the teacher left the room. All this, if you're Tony Khan and again you're negotiating a TV deal, you have Wembley coming up right now, you need positive stories. You don't need stories about in-house drama. That's been the story of AEW from the beginning. It was suppressed for a while, and then once it started coming out, it never stopped. Even when Punk left, it never stopped. Are you happy about this getting out right now? Only if I intend to have Britt Baker and or MJF lock the other person in the locker room at Wembley or backstage so we can catch it on security cam and show that. Otherwise, no, it's another example of a bunch of unprofessional and minor childish arguments and personalities being allowed to run wild because Tony doesn't have any control over anything. And again, you're suspended and you're fined, and the first thing they do, oh, hey, Uncle Dave Meltzer, let me tell you what happened happened here. It doesn't register because it's not a real punishment. Wrestlers do not feel punished when they are sent home and told not to take bumps and not to get on airplanes and not to make trips and not to have to go to work. Oh, by the way, you're going to get paid even if you're fined if you're coming out with anything for that period of time. And it's 2 weeks because she knows they can't leave her off Wembley. During his match for the US title at Summerslam, Logan Paul would be on the receiving end of a superplex from LA Knight, which seemed to be a scary landing. This was talked about by Fightful Select, who reported that while Rhea Ripley's shoulder injury spots were planned, Logan Paul's nasty landing off an LA Knight superplex was not. Paul was said to be okay following the spot. With Rick Steiner making an appearance at SummerSlam to see his son Bron Breakker become Intercontinental Champion, Ringside News noted WWE's perspective on Rick Steiner's previous controversial remarks. The pro wrestling world is full of a variety of people, and some of them are a bit of controversial at times. Although Rick Steiner went his entire career without drumming up any hatred, in his retirement years, he said some transphobic things that affected him in a big way. Rick Steiner's transphobic comments last year about Giselle Shaw attracted significant attention, causing his name to trend on social media for negative reasons. It's also worth noting that Rick offered an apology to Shaw. Shaw took to Twitter on International Transgender Day of Visibility to share a troubling story about Rick Steiner calling her terrible transphobic slurs and misgendering her. Rick Steiner was banned from all future WrestleCon events. Through it all, Bron Breakker received no backlash within WWE. Sean Ross Sapp noted on Fightful Select that he asked about Rick Steiner being featured on WWE socials again after transphobic comments were made by Steiner towards Shaw last year. WWE staff reportedly stated that Steiner had fallen out of the good graces of WWE after that, but admitted wrongdoing and said it wouldn't happen again. Since he offered an apology to Shaw, the two sides have not spoken since. It appears that WWE and the Hall of Famer are on better terms now. The Steiner brothers were in that luxury box with Sean Waltman and other WWE legends for SummerSlam. Following the main event of SummerSlam, where Cody Rhodes successfully defended his WWE title against Solo Sikoa of the Bloodline, one half of the WWE Tag Team Champions, Jacob Fatu, who got involved in that match, could be seen getting assistance to the back. Here's the clip.
It's just a small fraction.
at a store after the show. Jacob Fatu could be seen in a photo with fans wearing a walking boot. WWE Chief Content Officer Triple H commented on the injury at the post-show press conference.
Cody and Solo, I think Cody said it, Solo, imagine being a guy a very short period of time in the business, gets an opportunity to come up here, stand next to the biggest star in the business of Roman Reigns and be a part of the biggest storyline, and then Roman goes away and they're like, you're going to take his spot. And all these guys are going to be in that spot. We do the hottest thing in the business. You're gonna sort of replicate that, and that's the new story. Like, imagine that pressure for him. What an incredible accomplishment they've all been able to do. That whole group, especially Solo, and then I have to mention Jacob Fatu because he's like a force of nature, and it's amazing to see him. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit banged up on that in that last match. So hopefully those two Logan's a little banged up, as he should be, and Jacob's a little banged up. I'll see where that nets out here in a little bit. Hopefully nothing serious, but it was bugging him a little bit, the leg. So.
And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.